These days, it's nice to see the slow but steady progress in the LGBTQ community. Just recently, it's been announced that non-binary athletes can run at the 2023 Boston Marathon without registering for a specific division. So, what else is there to know about this development, and how does this benefit the queer community? Keep on watching today's video to find out more. In recent news, non-binary athletes can participate in the Boston Marathon in 2023 without signing up for a particular division. The event's organizers announced on May, the Boston Marathon will allow non-binary athletes to participate without needing to sign up as part of the men's or women's divisions. The Boston Athletic Association, which oversees the illustrious marathon, declared that it has been seeking to increase chances for non-binary individuals in all of the BAA's races, including the 5K, 10K, and half marathon. The event's planners announced the adjustment as registration for the 127th edition of the marathon on April 17, 2023 opened on Monday. The Legendary Races edition is predicted to have a field of roughly 30,000 runners next spring. Athletes who participated in a marathon as non-binary participants during the current qualifying period are eligible to submit entry forms, according to the BAA. It stated that while it is still developing eligibility requirements for non-binary participation, non-binary will be an option on its online applications. The organization expressed in a statement that talks with non-binary athletes are underway to encourage inclusivity at all BAA events better, and that they see this first year as a chance to learn and grow as a community. The addition of non-binary categories has recently started in a major marathon, the Philadelphia Distance Run, a prestigious competition featuring a half marathon and a 5K, established a non-binary division and offered equal prize money last year, making it the first big race in the United States to do so. In April, the Brooklyn Marathon and half marathon were run. The top 82 finishers were all contestants who identified as non-binary. Aside from Boston, more races are now accommodating non-binary runners whose experiences are spurring the change. Are you excited to know more about the group's story and how it affects the participants? Keep watching for more. When they discovered there was no room for them at the Eugene Marathon in Oregon, Jake Fedorowski was about to register for it. Fedorowski is non-binary, and the marathon only had male and female divisions. This event wasn't full. To request a non-binary classification, they got in touch with the race director. The director was receptive to the suggestion and enthusiastic about it, but she wasn't sure how to proceed. Fedorowski also lacked the solutions at the time. Ultimately, a non-binary category was not added to the marathon in time for the run earlier this year. In response to a request for comment, the race director remained silent. Fedorowski decided to abstain. Fedorowski remarked, "Why would I pay money to a race or an organization to just misgender me?" Fedorowski and other non-binary runners are promoting more diversity in running, one event at a time. This summer, Fedorowski, a board member of the Seattle Frontrunners, an LGBTQ+ running group, released a how-to manual for event organizers who want to include non-binary categories. It offered guidance on several issues raised by the Eugene Marathon, such as how to include non-binary people in scoring results and gender-inclusive terminology and restrooms, how to create a non-binary division in races, and how to use language and facilities that are inclusive of all genders. Non-binary runners now have more opportunity to compete in events across the country and, in certain cases, to win prizes. Last year, the New York City Marathon added a non-binary division. Over 70 runners have registered in the non-binary group for the Chicago Marathon this year, which was covertly created this year. In 2023, there will be a non-binary division for the Boston Marathon, but racers believe the race needs to clarify its policies before non-binary runners can be fully integrated. On a shared spreadsheet that other athletes can edit, Fedorowski keeps track of races that have established non-binary divisions or have simply made registration available to non-binary competitors. Marathons in Miami, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Seattle, Colorado Springs, and Flagstaff, Arizona are among those encouraging events. Since they began the spreadsheet in January of this year, more races have joined and more are being added every day. Non-binary athletes are personally demanding to be included. They express why they should be allowed to race as themselves are major forces behind this development. Running running, according to transmasculine non-binary runner Cal Calamia of San Francisco, is a form of resistance since it gives one a sense of worth and well-being. In the 15 years they've been putting on their shoes, heading outside, and taking it one step at a time, running hasn't changed for Calamia, although his body and identity have altered. Calamia continued, "I think about non-binary folks being excluded from running as an intentional act of not only keeping us away from feeling connected and feeling valued, but also keeping us away from physical health." After having to participate in a category they did not identify with several events, Jay Soul, a non-binary runner and director-at-large of Frontrunners New York, an LGBTQ+ running organization, decided to only run in non-binary divisions. They claimed that participating and winning in the male category made them feel as though their presence had been discounted, but it restricts their possibilities concerning race. It's irritating, according to Soul, but they assume it's a trade-off they'll have to make because, in the end, feeling honest is more important to them. The Boston Marathon, one of the races on Soul's bucket list, has made efforts to demonstrate how saying yes is only one of many necessary steps for full inclusion, particularly when runners don't have complete knowledge of the qualifications for one of the most difficult marathons in the world. As we mentioned earlier, there's also the Boston Marathon who are joining the bandwagon. The Boston Marathon intends to introduce a non-binary gender option for race registration in 2023, allowing non-binary participants to compete and be ranked inside a non-binary category. Non-binary athletes must have completed a marathon as a non-binary participant in less time than a specific threshold during the current qualification period, which runs from September 2021 to the present. But since the marathon hasn't released any additional entry information, Soul is unsure of the cutoff time required to compete in the non-binary division. Because Boston qualifiers prepare for years, not having the times this close to the marathon in April 2023 can be a big obstacle. According to Soul, it is insufficient if there aren't also clear criteria for non-binary people to meet. According to Soul, the Boston Marathon should adopt the New York Marathon's strategy and publish the qualifying times necessary for non-binary runners. Frontrunners New York has been preparing a formal request for the Boston Marathon to be more inclusive ever since this spring. In fact, another one of its non-binary members started seeking to participate in the marathon. According to Gilbert Gaona, Fedorowski stated that although they support the marathon's non-binary division, they are concerned by the lack of transparency, which makes the participation of non-binary runners seem predetermined. The Boston Marathon is still working on best practices, but spokeswoman Chris Lotzbaum did not specify whether non-binary racers will be entitled to the same prize money as cisgender competitors. No matter an athlete's gender identity, registration questions are the same for everyone, Lotzbaum continued. Several non-binary runners told the 19th that organizations like USA Track and Field, Ironman, and World Triathlon speaking out and creating policies mandating that non-binary runners and athletes be included would significantly tilt the scales toward widespread and more quick inclusion. That would have a knock-on effect among qualification races that wouldn't behave otherwise, setting industry-wide standards that more races would have to abide by and exerting greater pressure than a single request for inclusion from a racer. The national governing body for road running, track and field, and cross-country running, USA Track and Field, has taken a stand on the issue. In a statement, they said that World Athletics, the international governing body for the majority of running competitions, must complete a policy review and take action before issuing any policies for non-binary inclusion. In a statement sent through email, World Athletics stated that events must abide by the present regulations, which only recognize male and female categories, for their results to be recognized by the organization, which seeks world ranking points. Road races, triathlons, and marathons that are not under their control are free to make other decisions, the group added. Despite not having a non-binary category, Ironman said in a statement that the company has discussed the matter and is now studying World Triathlon's recently published policy for transgender competitors because World Triathlon is the organization in charge of triathlons as a whole. Additionally, Ironman has its own transgender athlete policy. The new World Triathlon rules will go into effect on September 1 and prohibit trans women from competing against other women unless they can show that their testosterone levels have not exceeded a particular level for at least 24 months. There's much to discuss regarding the implementation of rules and regulations for this event, but unfortunately, we're out of time to discuss this topic. So that'll be all for today's video about how non-binary athletes can participate at the 2023 Boston Marathon. Do you approve of the organizers' decision for non-binary athletes to take part? Let us know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching today's video, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel with the notification bell on for more videos like this.